people kind of poo-poo it because they think it sucks as well, and then they go, yeah, that was a bad idea, and then they go back to the kind of music they usually write. That's what I was hoping for what happened with Sorceress. Instead, it just went from bad to worse. It was the worst reviewed album of the year for me. Actually tied. It was a 2 out of 10. It was just garbage, hot garbage. It was awful, and I'm so incredibly disappointed to hear this is the kind of music in 2016 being made by one of the more creative and just incredibly talented heavy metal musicians out there, and Michael Ockerfeldt, who's now just the brains behind an absolute mess of crap that is Opeth. It's disappointing. Really, really disappointing. And by far and away, well, I shouldn't say by far and away, because Havoc was close. But still, biggest disappointment for the year for me is Opeth's album, Sorceress. But shouldn't surprise you if you're a veteran of the show. You've heard me rag on it a handful of times, because it sucks. It's bad. Speaking of bad, Biv, what was bad for you this year? What was your biggest disappointment?
Well, the word disappointment, connotates that you have a set of expectations. And, so while there were worse albums out there than what I'm about to say is my biggest disappointment of the year, I had such a expectation. And I hate the fact that it came so late in the year, because you just heard me talk about this. It's Theocracy. Wow. Ghost Ship is horrible compared to their other 3 releases, especially after the fact that we waited 6 years for it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Listen to the last episode. I gave a full review on it, and I did give it a 6 out of 10. So it's not the worst album out there. However, it is the worst album out there compared to the level of expectations that I had from Matt Smith and company. There were 2 or 3 songs on there that I could say were okay, that sounded like Theocracy. The rest were this B-side garbage that just shouldn't have been made. I mean, it's just not good. And I even gave it my own litmus test of, hey, if I were to, never have heard Theocracy before and listened to this, would I become a fan? Would I like it? And the answer is no. That album would not have drawn me in at all. I would have maybe bookmarked 1 or 2 songs and added it to my playlist, but it wouldn't have been like I would have become a Theocracy fanboy like I did back in the day. So, I hate to say it, but they're my biggest disappointment of the year.
Wow. See, I thought it was going to be that for you, but I also thought it could be Zakk Wylde's album, too.
Well, that was second.
Was it? Because that was a steaming pile of crap. But
yeah. No, I didn't quite have the same level of expectations on that, because that had been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
As I did Theocracy, who I'm a huge fan of, as you know. But, man, I hate to beat them up like that. I really do. It's like, it's like watching a child just, go to a football game and just be horrible. What do you say to them? You suck? You can't do that. But, you had a level of expectations based on, previous works. And in this case, it just didn't work out for me.
Wow. Well, it doesn't surprise me. I thought you may lean that way, knowing what you said on last episode. But there you go. 3 pretty big bands that all kind of let us down this year. Lacey, of course, thought that Havoc was a disappointment. I don't disagree. Opeth, god-awful. And I think Biv's being a little hard on Theocracy. I don't think it's as bad as he says. But, hey, that's what Biv thinks. And he's disappointed, damn it. And he's allowed to be. So that's our disappointment of the year. Now, let's go from stuff that sucks to stuff that doesn't suck. Because we have 2 more categories to go. This one may be one of my favorites because there's so many. You talk about albums and considering album of the year in a certain category is one thing. Song? Good luck with that one. Well, at least wish us luck, because we're about to do it. Here's this song of the year. Song! 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 The best song of 2016! Song! 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 You'll always press repeat! Forget genres, forget categories. We're just talking flat-out song. The best song you heard this year. The song you kept repeating over and over and over again, thinking it would get old, and it doesn't get old. It still rules. You still listen to it to this day. So, Lacey, Song of the year. There's so many choices. What's it for you?
Oh, there's a lot of good songs out there, but one really kind of rose to the top for me, and that is Believer by Mirath. When the video came out, I crowdfunded toward that video to be made, not even knowing what it was going to be like. They said it was going to be a really great cinematic kind of video. I'm like, okay, well, hey, why not? I like the band. I want to support the band. And they made a pretty cool video. And I remember when it came out, it's like I just kept playing it over and over and over and over and over and over. And a lot of people I know, across the whole metal fandom, they were doing the same. Fellow reviewers, fellow music promoters, they're like, I could not stop repeating this song. And I was in that group too. So that's just one of those songs that just really stuck with me from the whole year. That's just, it never gets tiring, never gets old. It's just a great anthemic song that's just really awesome. So that's my song of the year.
Well, I laugh only because that was my runner-up.
Okay.
I played that song. It's funny that we've never discussed this. I've played that song, especially when it came out, 10 times a day for like a week. It's just so good. Just the vocals are incredible. The solo's awesome. It's just a great track. And it's one of I have a metal buddy of mine who's like, hey, this is a true story, by the way. Metal buddy of mine, he reached out to me. He's like, hey, what are you listening to? Like, give me something new. Like something I haven't heard that you like, you should check these guys out. And I sent him that video over. It just went on YouTube maybe a week prior to me sending it to him. And he's like, dude, this is really good. I'm like, I know, right? I mean, it's just, it's a great song that even if you're not a huge metalhead, quote unquote, good call, Lacey. Very
Thank
good
you.
call. I love that song. It's a great song. And Get Your Freedom Back, actually, right after that.
Oh, yeah, that's so groovy. I love it.
Especially the beginning. That riff in the first 30 seconds of that song just rule. So, yeah, I mean, I could listen to those two songs back to back all the time. So, good call, Lacey. I'm glad we had you. My God.
Oh, thanks.
you're right on so many things tonight. I guess while
thanks.
I'm talking, before I kick it over to Biv to find out what his song of the year is, I will tell you that Believer was my runner-up. Another one, of course, and I mentioned this earlier, was the song SAR from Almanac off of their album SAR, which kicks off their album and is just freaking awesome. But song of the year for me is the song that I had mentioned to Lacey that I was obsessed with a while ago. And it's a song that when I listened to this album, which is one of my, by the way, it was my runner-up for Album of the Year, which we'll get into here next. But this is a song that I just played all of the time off of their album, and I couldn't get enough of it. And that was Passing Through by Evergrey. Just the best balance of metal that I can think of. Tom's voice is incredible on the song. It's heavy. There's lots of keys and melody that's going kind of over on the top of it. The chorus is very catchy and very sing-along-ish as well. It's just the perfect mix of a killer metal song. And it's just, I'm telling you, when we reviewed that album, I similar to Believer, I must have listened to that song 10 times a day for a week. And I still listen to it all the time. It is so good. So if you're an Evergrey fan, this song shouldn't surprise you as being one that you would consider a song of the year. At least I would hope that that's what you would think. But if for some reason you're not and you've never heard this song, guys, check out Passing Through by Evergrey. It freaking rules, and it's my song of the year. It's my favorite song. So, Biv, you got some tall orders ahead of you, man. I nominated Evergrey, Passing Through. Of course, Believer by Mirath was chosen by Lacey. It was my runner-up. So, dude, I'm just telling you, no pressure or nothing, but you got some pressure on you. What you got?
Well, this is probably the most difficult award of any of them to choose because, well, maybe outside of, overall album of the year, because, you can choose from so many different genres. And how do you compare Megadeth to Pretty Maids? Or how do you compare Iron Savior to Avantasia? It's very difficult. So I really just had to start bringing it down to not only accessibility, but also to, musicianship, to just, how much did it offer playability, to listen to over and over again, like you talked about. And both of your choices, by the way, were in my top 10. I can't argue with either one of them. I could easily have chosen either one of them. What I ended up choosing was a song that had elements of progressive metal, a little bit of power, a little bit of traditional, and parts hard rock. Something that encompassed all four genres, and that is Arborist Calm by Eminent Sonic Destruction.
Wow!
Just an absolute masterpiece, in my opinion, that comes in at over, 15 minutes long?
Yeah, it's long.
It maybe even 20. I mean, it's a very long track, but it's broken up into so many beautiful parts that all mesh together in a way that will have something for everyone, but yet doesn't leave you going, oh, what the hell is this? It starts off as a very 70s classic rock track that grows into a progressive metal track, into hard rock, into traditional metal, and varying back and forth, but done in a tasteful way, not done in a dream theater. Oh, look how many signature changes I can do in 2 minutes. It's not done for the sake of doing it. It's done for the sake of artistic beauty. And Arborist Calm, absolute masterpiece, my song of the year.
Wow. Good call. I didn't think that the direction you would go, but I can't disagree with that either. Wow. So, yeah, all three of these would be songs that you should check out if you haven't. And at the end of our awards here, by the way, I'll share with you a way that you can check out all of these songs in case you haven't yet. But we are coming down to the absolute last category. And just like every awards show, you try to save the best for last, the biggest, the baddest, the best. And that is the album of the year. Album! Last but not least of the categories is the best album of 2016. No doubt it's better than This Parent Day, a shitty version of karaoke. Album! Right now we're calling our attorneys. Album! Oh yeah! Ooh! Best album of 2016, yeah! And here it is. We have come to the end. The final award that we're going to give out. And man, the amount of the value that this award has is probably right up there with any sort of, platinum albums or just, I mean, can you think of a more prestigious award, Biv, that a band could get at this point in time than the According to Metal Podcast 2016 Album of the Year award? I can't think of one.
It's like receiving a box of shade. That's what it is.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's just, it's right up there with Nobel Peace Prize, really. I mean, it's just a very dignified, very precious and appreciated award that no one will appreciate. Anyway, just kidding. So we're here talking about the album of the year. What is the number one album that, regardless of genre, doesn't matter, just the album that you thought from start to finish, this is it. This is the best thing I've heard all year. It stands out to me and will stand the test of time of being a killer album for years and years and years to come. I wonder if some may be surprised by my nomination. Some may not be. I guess we'll find out. But we're going to find out from Biv first who he thought the album of the year was.
Just like Song of the Year, this was very difficult because, again, how do you compare Dante to Blaze Bayley or, 6 a.m. to Thornbridge? There's just no way to do it. So you kind of have to go to, at least for me, you kind of have to go to what is going to stand the test of time? What can I look at 10 years from now and say this album was a landmark, either in its genre or its just listenability over and over again. It's whatever it is. But something that 10 years from now, you and I will still be listening to, fans will still be listening to and say, that was their greatest work. And I could have, well, I mean, in my top